I'm Pete Waterman, and this is our Leamington Spa layout. So when we were looking at a project way back 17, 18 years ago, we wanted to do something different. And I grew up in Coventry, but did all my spotting in the early years in Leamington Spa. And the interesting thing about Leamington Spa, it was a cross-country station, which meant we had all regions come there. So you could see pretty well any sort of engine other than obviously the North of Scotland engines. It also was elevated right across the town centre, which meant that from a modelling perspective, you could never see all the locomotives at once because they would drop in behind buildings. And also at the time when we started, we had a couple of members who definitely didn't want to model GWR. So we needed a room where they could be in without seeing the GWR engines. So we worked out that if you look on the front, you've got a Great Western, on the back you've got the LMS. Well, the LMS went from Rugby through a Leamington Spa Avenue to Coventry and Nuneaton. And of course it was a classic railway stopping move. It was there to stop the Great Western getting into Coventry. So it was a line that was never going to make any money, but it prevented the Great Western getting into a very lucrative market, which was Coventry. So that was that route. So it gave us the opportunity of having Great Western and LMS and BR all mixed up together. And it allowed us to make a special room, which we'll show you in a bit, which was, none of the Western engines went through it. So at the end of the station, we got these two fantastic buildings, which are still there. Most of these buildings are still there to this day. This garage is different now, it's not like this. There was a garage that sold Triumph Healey's and Spitfires. So as a kid, it was a very nice, a great interest to us. This was the Midland Red Bus Working Men's Club, plus the Transport and General Workers offices. Then across the road you had a stonemason hotel. Now, in reality, we have taken about 12 foot of there should be 12 foot in here, but we've had to condense it. So this bridge should be literally down there. Then we've got the shops and the town centre, dairy. For all people, and everybody comments on this bridge is a nightmare. It's actually plasticard, made of plasticard and riveted. It's a massive, massive, massive undertaking. I actually built one for John Ryan for his layout, and I promise you I would never do another one. It's just too much work. So we come past the town centre, we come down to the other end, and down here we go into the shed and the canal with Clapham Terrace and the brewery. We've got some big trees, and the whole point about this layout is to give it height. You've got depth, but lots of height, because the trees are bigger than because everything's in on that viaduct there. All the very famous pictures by Dick Blenkinsop. You can see the engines in between the houses. I mean, it's magic. This is our brew room, which is the most important room in the place, because this is where we do all the sorting. Boris Johnson should come in on a Sunday morning. We'll sort the government out. Then we go into the storage space. And the storage space is purely for storage. So all of the track work other than the storage is handmade. Once we come into the storage siding, it's just pico and pico points. And it's kept very basic because it's there, obviously, for storage. Not many people see around here, actually. So we can store in here 6 Great Western trains, 2 trains that are coming over from the Fiddle sidings, and 8 LMS trains. They come all the way around here. And then we come through this layout, and then really the layout starts here. And this is Leamington shed. Again, it's 4 feet shorter than it should be, but it's a big beast. The engines on the layout are nearly all prototypical. In other words, they are what you would have seen in the 50s, 60s at Leamington Spa. So the majority of engines are either based Wolverhampton, Tyseley, Banbury. You've obviously got some old Common engines, but they're all pretty typical to the area. So there's not many engines that we see that you wouldn't have seen. I'm not sure that 60123 ever went to Leamington Spa, but it's one of my favourite engines, so it's there. And the one area we haven't tackled yet, although we've got it, we've not had time to put it, is over there is a turntable. We've got it, we just haven't finished it off. Then you come round the corner. Again, these are interesting. People think they're signals. They're not signals. These are speed restrictions. And Leamington had a speed restriction of going into the platform was 25, through lines were 40 miles an hour. All the signals are interlocked. Interesting little point here. This signal box obviously has got a place for gun emplacements for the Second World War. These are actually for Bren guns. Got the canal, and then you come back up. And as we follow this up, in real terms, I don't know if you can see this actually, on the outside of the layout is the actual mileage. It's 105.5 miles from London. So as you go up the layout, I've sort of made sure that you sort of got the impression of what it really should be. So as we come up again, we come into the station area. This was a rockery and shrubbery. Again, the station is shortened. I know it looks big. The building is scale. The building is absolutely scale, but the platforms are about 8 feet too short, because otherwise it would just dominate the whole model. And Leamington Spas was the last Art Deco station along with Cardiff. I'm proud to be its president. It's grade 1 listed. On the layout, we've got the original, all the doors are in sterling silver as they would have been on the original station. The Leamington Spa on the top is the way that the station looked in the 50s. We toyed with whether to do the Great Western writing, which was a roundel, but we didn't. We did the Leamington Spa, and this is, of course, there were 2 stations at Leamington Spa. This was always referred to by us as Leamington Spa General. The other station on the other side is Leamington Spa Avenue, which was a bus depot now. That drawing, there's a funny story. That building is absolutely scale. And I used to go to the Leamington and Warwick show every year. And there are no drawings at all at this station. And we were struggling, got lots of pictures, but no, because there's some lovely waiting rooms on that station. And we found it very difficult. And I'm at a show, and I'm showing some of these bits of buildings. And a young guy came up to me and said, "My dad's just died." And he was modelling Leamington Spa. And I said, "Yeah, it was he?" He said, "Yeah." He said he started in the 50s. I said, he said, "Yeah." He said, "I got a big pile of drawings upstairs." He said he got for the project. He said he never did it, he never finished it. He said, "Do you want them?" I said, "Yeah." He turned up with all of the linen printed drawings for the station from 1858. All of them, down to the lead flashing on the roofs. So the one building I know is absolutely spot on is that station, because we do have the original drawings when it was just, meant to stop the Great Western. I haven't put the windows in yet. We're still, still lots to do. Biggest mistake we made was it's too wide. So it's miles too wide. Can't get there. It is electrified, or it's going to be electrified, but actually the practicality of actually trying to use it is tough. I mean, if anything comes off, you're really struggling to get it on. Now then, one of the things we learned, and this is a tip, the biggest problem with making anything that's big, you've got to get the weight right. You've got to get the feel of the weight. And one of the problems I could never live with when we started this, it always bothered me up until about 4 years ago. The weight distribution of the buildings wasn't right. It just didn't look right. It wasn't balanced. And I realised the reason it wasn't balanced was because we had never built this goods shed. We put a small goods shed in, and it didn't work because the goods shed is massive, as you can see. It's 5 foot long. But then you look at the station, and when you stand here now and you look back, everything's in proportion. Because you can't have a big station like Leamington Spa and a small goods shed. It wouldn't work. The station would be small. So if you're going to that length, and you can see what we had to do to get it in was to extend the layout on the board. So it's even wider now than it was before. But at least what we can do is, if there is a problem, we can actually, this does lift out and the legs do fold up, so we can actually drop this down to get back into the layout. We come around, and of course, in real terms, the railway actually went off to the right there to Coventry, Warwick, Coventry and Kenilworth. Well, it comes around left, and what it does is, you can see here, some trees hide the fact that it goes into a different room. And that's where all the people that don't like GWR go and play. So it comes around, sweeps around this corner. Then what we did, we built Hatton Bank, which is on the way to Birmingham. And in hindsight, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, we'd have actually been better off just building Hatton Bank and having lots of storage space, because nearly everybody wants to stand in and watch the trains go by, and most people that take pictures of Hatton Bank, because it, as you can see, it winds, it's interesting, it makes great photos, and it's actually a lot more fun to operate than all the signals in Leamington Spa. Though it's great spectacular, I think I spend more time on the Hatton part of the layout than anything else. Made all the trees during lockdown, and I thought, an A4 turned up and set fire to the bank. So I've reprimanded the driver. He's on a form. I just hadn't seen anybody who had tried to, model burnt banks, and they were a feature of the railway, in the 50s and 60s. So we set fire to this, and half the tree went as well. And a guy called Mike Wraithby did the painting at the back, which is just phenomenal. I mean, he's done quite a few layouts now. He said after this he'd never do another one, but he's done Copenhagen Fields and quite a few others. I mean, his painting is sensational, and I know people use, paint photographs these days, but this isn't real. It's not a photograph. The layout is a model, so therefore the painting in itself isn't real either, and that makes all part of what modeling's about. If you stick a picture on of the clouds, well, they're clouds. This is our impression of what clouds look like and what the weather looks like. This train here is interesting because I'm building these wagons, and what I do is I run my wagons in on this train. So this is a 9F on this, but the train is far bigger than a 9F could ever pull. And we've got some interesting vehicles because they're just about to start building the M1 motorway. So I've got some scrapers and diggers on there off to that. So now we have to go under into a different layout. This is another layout. So this is completely isolated from Leamington and Hatton Bank, and it's totally operated from the signal box and the signal box behind me. This is Brinklow on the West Coast Main Line. This part of the layout is pretty well scale. I grew up here as well. This has sort of taken a back seat to Leamington. It's not had the love and attention that we've put on the rest of the layout, but we are starting to actually put some more work in. And once we've finished the Chester Cathedral layout, we are going to rip out some of what we've done on this and make it more prototypical. There's too many compromises on this side, not on the track itself, but on the bank side, because it should all be like this. It shouldn't be. There should be no risen bank on this side. It's all up on the bank. So interesting signals here. They're really interesting signals. There's some signals that we don't even know of. We can't work out what they are. Even the BR drivers, we can't work them out. We've got some interesting telegraph poles. I'm nuts about telegraph poles because, again, it gives you the extra height. I don't see enough people model the two pole, but we've done that, right? So then we turn around here, and this is our big deal. This is our storage sidings. And you can see here in the baseboard here, there's a hole. Okay, so that's a hole there. And what we do is we take this up like that. See, it won't go anywhere. I did that deliberate. And it fits in there like that. You lift the end like that. And this one's the wrong way around, but that will come on there, like that. And then we move that out and we can form the trains there. And then so you can see there's 3 cassettes to this train, which is minerals. Then you've got a Pullman tray behind, and you've got some bits and pieces. But what you can see here is these are all trains that literally we can put out and run. So we can actually run now 63, I think it is, totally separate trains without changing an engine. We've got lots of engines we can change. We've got more vans up here. So we literally just run them, then change them over, and out they go. And you can see there's sensors on all these to tell us in the other room where the engines are. The underground comes up, allows us to bring Great Western engines round the layout without taking them through Leamington Spa Avenue, because they wouldn't go through Avenue. We've got lots of small trains here, where I know people think that everything we've got is big trains, but we have some small trains here. And as I say, this just goes up here, like that, and that's stored. And then that takes you back out round there, and everything is worked from this panel, which you have to switch in. So this panel it's a signal box, but once this is switched in, you can't operate round this part of the room from in the main room where you saw the brew room. You have to stand here and you operate everything from here. And well, that's Leamington, Brinklow and Hatton.
Up.